Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darren, and in today's video I want to kind of briefly talk a bit about my thoughts on Legion PvP and my hopes for BFA PvP. Because some people asked me on stream what are my thoughts on Legion PvP. Since we got to run the Brawl recently, I decided I'm just going to throw it into a video. So hopefully you guys enjoy this kind of discussion. I feel like Legion is the kind of expansion where you have to be a PvE player to really enjoy it. And it sounds a little bit weird coming from somebody who mostly did PvP for the longest time. But Legion PvP was such a good idea on paper, but I don't really know what happened in the long run. We thought that the idea of gear doesn't matter would mean, oh, it's all about skill. We have honor talents that can really tune specializations in classes more in depth. Oh, balance is going to be there. There's a loading us up with new arenas and even more PvP content like the brawls. Oh, PvP is going to be great again. And then when you play Legion PvP, you might even miss Mr. Pandaria PvP. Hell, you might even miss a little bit of Cataclysm PvP. You might even miss Wrath of the Lich King PvP, which is something that I'll never be able to experience unless we get a classic server for Wrath of the Lich King in the future. I'll be honest, I think the most fun that I've had in PvP with Legion as of the last 2 patches at the very least are the brawls, which allow you a little bit extra ways of playing the same battlegrounds we get to play, even giving us a brand new takes on same battlegrounds like the Snowy AVs or AB is probably my favorite battleground that I've ever seen. Snowy Arathi Basin needs to be a BG that we can queue anytime, any day of the week. And Seething Shore is something that is still coming up very soon. It is time gated, which I'm not happy about, but as soon as we get Seething Shore again and we can play it not in PTR but on live servers, the faster the better in my opinion. So I'm super excited, looking forward to all that. But I think besides the brawls, the only other content of PvP that I've been enjoying, something that's not even a content that is established by the developers themselves, are the 5v5 1v1 duels. I love being able to test my metal against others, and if you play like a spec that is a weird spec to play, maybe an underrated spec, an underdog for duels, stuff like Outlaw Rogue, Survival Hunters, Elemental Shamans, and you pit them against some of the strongest dueling classes in the game, Windwalkers, Ferals, and Retribution Paladins, and you're seeing just the crazy turnarounds. It is such a great experience. It's so exciting, it's so rewarding, and probably the most amount of fun I've been having with PvP as of recent. I feel like Legion had a really good setup for PvP. Again, no item levels, no gear needed. Base level entry, anyone can join. There's nothing holding you back. But I feel because of that, you kind of lost a lot of customization options. Even Warlords General wasn't the best for PvP, but I felt like in Warlords we had a lot more customization. You could choose what gear you wanted, you could choose what stats you wanted, you could choose what weapons you wanted, and even which trinkets you wanted to run. Right now in PvP, your trinkets don't matter, your item level doesn't matter, your stats don't matter. The only thing that technically matters is your item level that gets converted into a stat template. And that's it. And while you are allowing a lot more players to enter PvP by being able to join PvP without having any kind of crazy requirements, primarily having enough gear in order to be able to outlast somebody, gear with enough resilience or PvP power, or I guess whatever scaling technology they use in Warlords General, there's a lot lower barrier to entry, so just about anybody can join PvP, and to an extent it is all about skill. But when you take out the gear, you're taking out customization out of a player. When you're taking customization out of a player, you're not allowing player to make mistakes. I want to be able to make mistakes, and I want to be able to customize my player. I want the gear to matter. I've been leveling since level 1, and I got to a max level. I did a lot of quests, I did a lot of dungeons, and one of the most exciting things I got to do in Cataclysm was to put in the old school point system where you could get a point every 2 levels or so, and gear, being able to get epic loot. And right now in Legion, the best way to get loot is PvE. So that makes PvP a lot less fun because PvE actually gives you rewards, actually gives you gear, actually gives you loot, and actually gave a lot more artifact power than PvP did for the longest time. In PvP, again, the customization of your character is gone. In PvE, if when you're doing a Mythic Plus or dungeon, or even a raid, or any of the Mage Tower challenges, for example, you get to try out how your character plays. You get to test your metal. You get to test and see just how well can you do in these challenges, how well can you play with your team, how good is your synergy, and how good can your gear affect that synergy. So it's a combination of synergy with your team gear, and player skill that just comes into this holy trinity of amazingness and awesomeness. This great feeling that just feels so good to be able to finally realize that you're playing your specialization to its finest, that there's ways so you can fine-tune yourself, that there's mistakes you can make, and if you don't make mistakes and if you make the right decisions, it has a big payoff. And I feel like PvP lost a lot of that wonder when they removed gear from the PvP system. And on top of it, let's talk about the honor talent system. The honor talent system is basically the replacement for the gear. That's the way you're supposed to be able to customize your character. And compared to being able to customize your gear and your trinkets, your 2-piece, your 4-piece set bonuses, your stats, it just falls so short. I feel that if Blizzard maybe took a lot more time to fill in certain talents, for example, if you have a specialization that's just not doing that well in PvP, and Blizzard decided to buff some of your honor talents or replace him completely in order to make you more viable. Like what, for example, if an Outlaw Rogue could go from a bursty spec, like having Adrenaline Rush as a cooldown, to it becoming more of a passive ability. You gain a lot more sustained damage, but you lose a lot of burst, and you still have all that CC. Or Warlocks, Destruction Warlocks get kicked a lot, so what if they made some of their abilities instacast with some kind of a trade-off? Like for example, Chaos Bolt becomes an instacast ability, but instead of actually making it so it's a hard hitter ability, maybe now it singes through enemies' armor, so all your other cast abilities would be instacast, but with some kind of a drawback, like maybe they cost a lot more mana, or your movement speed is flat decreased, or anything like that. Maybe even some crazy metamorphosis change for Demon Hunters, where instead of it being a 2-minute, 4-minute cooldown, it simply burns off your Fury. None of your other abilities burn off Fury, or maybe have a decreased burn off, so you can build up your Fury to the most. Metamorphosis for burst, and if you can maintain it and sustain it as it burns off, almost like a Shadow Priest Void Bolt style, or a Void Form style system, in terms of, I guess, the going into a different form and burn off your resource. I feel stuff like this could just be awesome. But simply because there's just not enough customization, not enough crazy changes and updates to the honor talents, I feel it does end up falling short, and we end up having different seasons like season 4, season 5, season 6, and they just feel like it's just more of the same, not a lot enough of difference in there. Lastly, I think we just simply need more stuff to do for PvP. I think the best way of going about it would be more Battlegrounds. Some people would say in Legion we got 2 new arenas, but let's be honest, what do you do in an arena? You're trying to kill the other team, and in different arenas you have different elevations, different ways to line aside each other, and that's really about it. It doesn't actually change your gameplay, you're still just trying to bash the other team in the face until they die and you don't. In BGs, you actually have different objectives for the game. And Blizzard doesn't even need to do new Battlegrounds. I feel like the Brawl system is a great way for them to try new BGs, and if they're well received, maybe become part of the BG roster. Or do something unique and insane. Like for example, what if they were to bring back old Battlegrounds from back in the day? For example, what if the game were to bring back BGs such as old school AV? AV where you have to go and raise your titans, and it's now instead of a BG, it really is like a 30-minute campaign. Or a altered version of AV, like a revamped version, where they take old school BGs that a lot of people really would rather not queue for because it's usually an alliance auto win battleground, and change them in completely different ways. I feel like Strand of the Ancients, which is a BG I usually coin as Strand of the AIDS, is just not the most fun BG I've ever been in, and simply because there's just not a lot to do. I feel like if they were to balance it a little better, maybe if they made the mechanics a little bit more fun in some way, maybe change how the sieges happen, or just simply freshen up the BG, a lot like how Blizzard likes to go in and freshen up some of the older dungeons, I feel that it would be a definitely welcome change for the game. More modes, like maybe to put in a dueling mode where people can go and spectate people dueling each other. Maybe make it, I mean, it'll be impossible, but make dueling as balanced as it possibly can be for 1v1 situations, or have some specific sets of rules where classes can actually duel each other in a great way. Maybe add even more active abilities into PvP to make it fresh, to make it exciting, to make it interesting. So there's a lot more stuff for us to do, so abilities for us to press. I feel like there's just gonna be a lot more content in PvP, and I feel like there needs to be. because arenas are fun, and I've been seeing that Blizzard is trying to promote the esports side of PvP, the arena side of PvP, to be more of an everyday kind of thing, not like a once in a BlizzCon type of event. They're trying their hardest, but I feel like it's still on base level, at a casual level, there's a lot more that could be done in order to help benefit for the game overall. That's kind of where I'm coming from. And of course, I didn't really say much about this, but the new way of doing world PvP that they're adding in the next expansion does sound very promising. To be able to turn on PvP mode so that you can get into a PvP based server to face against other players who want PvP, where your rewards for, let's say, XP are increased because you put yourself at risk, and a way to balance a lot of the PvP content. I think it will be a lot of fun, and I'm super excited about that. I'm glad that they're adding stuff like this, and which is why I feel that BFA is going to be a better expansion for PvP, because it seems like Blizzard is coming into the expansion with at least some ideas and some focus into PvP off the bat. Of course, we had a lot of those ideas and focus into PvP with Legion as well, with the honor talent system and item levels not really mattering as much anymore and all that good jazz. But again, even that system fell, I feel like, a bit short. So I'm really hoping devs commit. With an expansion where you're all about Horde versus Alliance, I think it's really difficult to mess up the concept, and I feel that Blizzard will have a much easier time trying to figure out how to finagle themselves into a great PvP based expansion with BFA, because the premise is just so perfect, it's so awesome, and I feel like they've had a lot of practice and trial and error with Legion. So I have full trust in the devs, and I think they'll do the right thing in order to try to help make PvP great again, without really making it into a Trump joke in the next expansion. I am a pretty big believer. I think they can do it, and I'm going to be really hopeful about it. As soon as I have more stuff about it, I'll cover it on the channel as soon as possible. But this is all I have for you guys right now. So what are your thoughts about the game in terms of PvP? What are your thoughts about Legion PvP? And what are your hopes for BFA PvP? Leave me all that in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and give it a like, because likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience, so that'll be very much appreciated. If you guys enjoyed discussions like these, updates for patches and BFA discussions and updates, be sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to catch every single one of the live streams, be sure to also hit the notification bell next to the subscribe button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.